A dinner date. Lisa and Mike were a lovely couple who had been dating for 10 years. They went out together 3 times a week and enjoyed each other's company. Lisa loved Mike with all her heart and dreamed of marrying him, but Mike was a very reserved man and never spoke about marriage. Now Lisa was almost 30 and she couldn't wait any longer. She had been dropping hints about getting married for a while, but Mike never seemed to take the bait. So Lisa decided to take matters into her own hands and planned a special dinner date with him. She invited him to her sister's luxurious house and chose her best dress and gold watch for the occasion. Lisa was sure that this evening would be different. She was convinced that Mike was going to propose to her. As they sat down to eat, Lisa couldn't help but feel nervous. She looked at Mike, hoping to catch a glimpse of the ring in his pocket, but he seemed distant and preoccupied. Lisa tried to make small talk, but Mike didn't seem interested. He was staring off into the distance, lost in his own thoughts. Lisa's heart sank as she realized that this evening might not be as special as she had hoped. After dinner, Lisa gathered her courage and asked Mike if he had something to say. Mike looked up at her, his expression unreadable. "I do have something to say," he said slowly, "but it's not what you think." Lisa's heart skipped a beat as she waited for Mike to continue. What could he possibly want to say if not to propose? "I need to tell you something," Mike said, taking a deep breath. "I have 2 bad habits that I need to quit." Lisa felt a wave of disappointment wash over her. She had hoped for a romantic proposal, not a confession of bad habits. "What bad habits?" Lisa asked, trying to hide her disappointment. "I smoke and I drink a lot of coffee," Mike said. "I know it's not healthy and I want to change for you." Lisa felt a glimmer of hope. If Mike was willing to change for her, maybe there was still a chance for them to get married. "Thank you for telling me," Lisa said, smiling. "I appreciate your honesty, and I'm glad that you want to change. Let's work on it together." Mike smiled back, relieved that Lisa wasn't upset. He knew that he had a long road ahead of him, but he was willing to do whatever it takes to make Lisa happy. As they walked out of the house, Lisa couldn't help but feel a sense of disappointment. Her dream of a romantic proposal had been shattered, but at least Mike was willing to change for her. Little did Lisa know that this was only the beginning of a series of events that would change their lives forever. Chapter 2: The Uninvited Guest. As Lisa and Mike drove back from the dinner, Lisa couldn't shake off the disappointment of not getting proposed to. She tried to focus on the positive and reminded herself that at least Mike was willing to change for her. As they approached Lisa's apartment, they noticed a car parked outside. Lisa was surprised because she didn't have any visitors that night. She wondered who it could be. As they got closer, they noticed a man sitting in the driver's seat. He was looking at them with a cold stare, and Lisa couldn't help but feel uneasy. Mike parked the car and they got out. The man stepped out of his car and walked towards them. Lisa recognized him as her ex-boyfriend, who she had broken up with a few years ago. "Lisa, I need to talk to you," the man said, ignoring Mike's presence. Lisa tried to keep calm and asked him what he wanted. The man seemed agitated and kept glancing at Mike. "I want to get back together," the man said, looking directly at Lisa. "I know I made a mistake and I'm willing to change." Lisa felt a surge of anger and disbelief. She had moved on from the past and didn't want to entertain any thoughts of getting back with her ex. "I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen," Lisa said firmly. "I'm happy with Mike and I don't want to go back to the past." The man looked at Mike, his eyes full of hostility. "Who's this guy?" he asked, trying to provoke Lisa. Mike stepped forward, sensing the tension. "I'm her boyfriend," he said, looking at the man directly. The man snorted and walked away, muttering under his breath. Lisa and Mike watched him leave, relieved that the encounter was over. As they walked into the apartment, Lisa couldn't help but feel shaken. She realized that her past could come back to haunt her at any time, and she needed to be prepared for anything. Mike hugged her and reassured her that he would always be there for her. Lisa felt grateful for his support and knew that she had made the right choice in choosing him. Little did they know that the encounter with Lisa's ex-boyfriend was only the beginning of a series of events that would test their relationship and their courage. Chapter 3: A Strange Phone Call. A few days after the encounter with Lisa's ex-boyfriend, Lisa and Mike were settling into their daily routine. They went to work during the day and spent their evenings together. One evening, while they were watching a movie, Lisa's phone rang. She picked it up, and a strange voice on the other end spoke. "Hello, Lisa. I have something that belongs to you," the voice said, and then hung up. Lisa looked at the phone in confusion, wondering who the caller was and what they meant by having something that belonged to her. Mike noticed Lisa's expression and asked her what was wrong. Lisa told him about the phone call and how strange it was. Mike suggested that they call the number back and find out who the caller was. Lisa hesitated but agreed. They dialed the number and a man answered. He identified himself as the owner of a nearby storage unit and said that he had found a box with Lisa's name on it. Lisa was surprised and couldn't remember having anything stored at a storage unit. The man told her that the box was old and had been there for years. Lisa and Mike decided to check it out the next day. They drove to the storage unit and found the box. Lisa opened it, and inside was a collection of old photographs and letters. As Lisa looked through the old photos, she realized that they were from her childhood. She saw pictures of her parents, her siblings, and her friends. As she read the old letters, she discovered that they were from her late grandmother. Lisa had always been close to her grandmother, who had passed away when Lisa was a teenager. Lisa felt overwhelmed with emotions as she read the letters. She had thought that all of her grandmother's belongings had been lost in a fire years ago. The box was a treasure trove of memories that she thought she would never see again. Mike hugged Lisa and told her that it was a special moment. They drove back to Lisa's apartment, and Lisa spent the night going through the old photos and letters. The strange phone call had turned into a heartwarming discovery. Lisa felt grateful for the unexpected gift and knew that her grandmother would always be with her, even in the form of old photographs and letters. Chapter 4: The Break-In. A few weeks had passed since Lisa's strange phone call and the discovery of her grandmother's old belongings. Lisa and Mike had settled back into their routine, but they couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. One evening, as they returned from dinner, they noticed that their apartment door was slightly ajar. Lisa's heart skipped a beat as she realized that someone might have broken into their apartment. Mike cautiously entered the apartment, checking every corner. They saw that their belongings had been scattered around and some items were missing. They called the police, who arrived within minutes. The officers inspected the apartment and took a report of the missing items. Lisa felt violated and scared. She couldn't believe that someone had entered their private space and taken their belongings. As they sat down to calm their nerves, Lisa noticed something odd. Her computer was open, and there was a file that she hadn't accessed. She clicked on the file, and to her horror, it was a collection of her personal photos and documents. Lisa felt sick to her stomach as she realized that someone had not only stolen their belongings but also invaded her privacy. She felt violated and helpless. The police assured them that they would investigate the break-in and try to find the culprit. Lisa and Mike spent the night worrying about their safety and wondering who could have done such a thing. The next day, the police called them with an update. They had found a suspect who was seen leaving the building on the night of the break-in. The suspect was a former neighbor who had been evicted for not paying rent. Lisa and Mike were relieved that the culprit had been found, but they couldn't shake off the feeling of violation. They decided to install a security system in their apartment and take measures to protect their privacy. The break-in had been a wake-up call for them. They realized that their safety and privacy were fragile and needed to be protected. They felt grateful for the police's quick action and resolved to be more vigilant in the future. Chapter 5. The Stalker. Lisa and Mike thought that their troubles were over after the break-in and the police's quick action. However, they were about to face a new threat. One evening, as they were walking back from a late dinner, they noticed that they were being followed. At first, they thought it was just a coincidence, but the person kept following them, even when they changed directions. Lisa's heart started racing with fear. She had a sinking feeling that they were being stalked. She looked at Mike, who was also aware of the situation. They decided to walk towards a busy street and see if the person would stop following them. However, the stalker kept following them, even in the crowded street. Lisa and Mike decided to approach a police officer who was nearby. They explained the situation, and the officer followed them as they walked towards their apartment. As they approached their building, the stalker finally backed off and disappeared into the night. Lisa and Mike felt relieved, but also scared. They didn't know who the stalker was or what they wanted. They decided to take measures to protect themselves. They installed a security system in their apartment and started being more vigilant of their surroundings. Days went by and they thought the stalker had given up. However, one day Lisa found a note on her car windshield. The note was written in a threatening tone, and Lisa felt sick to her stomach. They reported the note to the police, who advised them to be cautious and to document any suspicious activities. Lisa and Mike started living in fear. They were constantly looking over their shoulders and wondering when the stalker would strike again. One night, as they were watching TV, they heard a noise outside their apartment. Mike cautiously looked through the peephole and saw a shadowy figure standing outside. Lisa's heart raced with fear as Mike grabbed a baseball bat and cautiously opened the door. The stalker was standing there, looking at them with a sinister grin. Mike swung the baseball bat, hitting the stalker in the arm. The stalker recoiled, but then grabbed the bat from Mike and started swinging it wildly. Lisa called the police as the stalker and Mike continued to fight. The police arrived within minutes and arrested the stalker. As they sat down to calm their nerves, Lisa and Mike realized that they had been lucky to come out of the situation alive. They felt grateful for the police's quick response and for each other's support. The stalker turned out to be a former co-worker who had been stalking Lisa for months. He had been fired from his job and had become obsessed with Lisa. Lisa and Mike learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of stalking and the importance of being vigilant. They resolved to never let their guard down and to always be prepared for the unexpected. The stalker had been a terrifying experience, but Lisa and Mike had come out of it stronger and more determined to protect themselves and each other. Chapter 6. The Escape Room. Lisa and Mike decided to take a break from all the recent drama and go out for some fun. They had heard about an escape room in town and decided to give it a try. As they entered the escape room, they were greeted by a mysterious host who explained the rules of the game. They were locked in a room and had to solve a series of puzzles and clues to find the key to escape. Lisa and Mike worked together using their skills and knowledge to solve the puzzles. They found hidden objects, deciphered codes, and used logic to find their way out. As they progressed through the game, they noticed that the puzzles were becoming more challenging. They had to think outside the box and use their creativity to solve them. Lisa felt a rush of excitement as they got closer to solving the final puzzle. They were running out of time, but they were determined to escape. Finally, they found the key and unlocked the door. They stepped out of the room, feeling triumphant and exhilarated. As they walked out of the building, Lisa and Mike felt a new sense of appreciation for each other. They realized that they made a great team and that they could overcome any challenge if they worked together. The escape room had been a fun and thrilling experience that brought them closer together. They felt grateful for the opportunity to have some fun and forget about their troubles for a while. As they drove back to their apartment, Lisa and Mike talked about their experience and how they could use the skills they learned in the game in their daily lives. They felt more confident and empowered, knowing that they could face any challenge if they put their minds to it. The escape room had been a reminder that life was full of surprises, but that they could overcome them together. Chapter 7. The Proposal. Lisa and Mike had been through a lot together. They had faced break-ins, stalkers, and other challenges, but they had come out stronger than ever. One evening, as they were walking in the park, Mike stopped and got down on one knee. Lisa felt her heart race with anticipation as Mike pulled out a small box. "Lisa, I love you more than anything in this world," Mike said, looking into Lisa's eyes. "Will you marry me?" Lisa felt tears welling up in her eyes as she nodded her head. "Yes, yes, I will," she said, throwing her arms around Mike's neck. Mike slipped the ring on Lisa's finger, and they hugged each other, feeling a rush of joy and excitement. As they walked back to their apartment, Lisa couldn't stop looking at the ring on her finger. She felt grateful for Mike's love and commitment, and she knew that they were meant to be together. They decided to celebrate their engagement with a dinner at their favorite restaurant. As they sat down to eat, Lisa and Mike talked about their future plans and dreams. They decided to have a small, intimate wedding with their closest friends and family. They talked about their future careers and where they wanted to live. Lisa felt a sense of happiness and contentment as she realized that she had found her soulmate in Mike. They had been through so much together, but they had come out stronger and more committed to each other. As they finished their dinner, Lisa and Mike shared a kiss, feeling the warmth of each other's love. They knew that their journey together was just beginning, but they were ready for anything that life would throw their way. The proposal had been a magical moment that Lisa would never forget. She felt grateful for Mike's love and knew that they were meant to be together forever. Chapter 8. Happily Ever After. Lisa and Mike's wedding day arrived, and they were both filled with excitement and nervousness. They had planned everything down to the last detail, and they hoped that everything would go smoothly. As Lisa walked down the aisle, she felt a rush of emotions. She saw Mike waiting for her at the end of the aisle, looking at her with love and adoration. The ceremony was beautiful, and Lisa and Mike exchanged their vows in front of their closest friends and family. They kissed, and the crowd erupted into cheers and applause. The reception was a blast, and everyone had a great time dancing and celebrating. Lisa and Mike felt grateful for the love and support of their friends and family. As the night drew to a close, Lisa and Mike shared a private moment together. They looked into each other's eyes, feeling the warmth of their love. They knew that their journey together was just beginning, but they were excited for the adventures that awaited them. They had faced so many challenges together, but they had always come out stronger. Lisa felt grateful for Mike's love and knew that he was the one she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. They had found their happily ever after, and they were ready for whatever the future held. As they drove off into the night, Lisa and Mike felt a sense of contentment and joy. They knew that they had each other, and that was all that mattered. Their love story had been filled with drama and excitement, but they had come out on top. They had faced every challenge together and had emerged stronger and more committed than ever. Lisa felt grateful for the lessons she had learned and the memories she had created with Mike. They were a team, and they were ready to take on whatever life had in store for them. As they looked out into the night, Lisa and Mike felt a sense of happiness and peace. They knew that they had found their happily ever after, and they were